What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so it's kind of a slow news day today, so we're going to cover something kind of interesting, but not very headline newsworthy. Check this out, y'all. New Trump administration rule bars student loan relief for public workers tied to illegal activity. And they had to put that in quotes, didn't they? Illegal activity. That is right. So any of these, government workers or NGOs that are assisting criminal aliens, you're not going to get your student loan relieved, if you will, or anybody, advocating for gender affirming care or any of that nonsense, that gender ideology garbage, or any of this far left nut job, nut wing crap. Yeah, you're not getting your student loan forgiven. Let's get into this, y'all. The Trump administration is forging ahead with plans to eject some nonprofits from a popular student loan forgiveness program if their work is deemed to have a substantial illegal purpose, a move that could cut off some teachers, doctors, and other public workers from federal loan cancellation. That is right. So if any of these doctors are performing gender-affirming care and you have a student loan, do not expect the government to forgive that student loan, as a matter of fact. And if you work for a nonprofit, and you went to college and got your doctorate in gender studies, for goodness sakes, then don't expect the Trump administration to forgive your loan. See, that's what I don't get. And the liberals, they're just melting down over this. They're losing their minds. You can't tell us that. Over entitlements. It's always that. They always melt down over entitlements. They must have their entitlements. They think they are due. A lot of these liberals think that entitlements are a civil right. You know what that would mean, folks? That is a God-given right, that government give you things, that gives you money, give you a free handout, folks. That is not a God-given right. It is nobody is entitled to anything at all. Not as far as money. any kind of funds or anything like that. You're not entitled to any of that. Go out and get it on your own. That's what I say. New rules finalized Thursday give the Education Department expanded power to ban organizations from the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. The Trump administration said it's necessary to block taxpayer money from lawbreakers. Critics say it turns the program into a tool of political retribution. Did anybody see that coming? Of course we all saw that. Hang on, liberals are going to think this is a political retribution campaign once again. But no, I'm sorry. But if you're engaging in any untoward activity, why should you think that the government would forgive your loan, would pay off your student loan? Essentially, it's not really paying it off. Kind of is in some way, because the debt doesn't just go away. I'm sorry. That's not how that works, by the way. It's taxpayer subsidized. Set to take effect in July, the policy is aimed primarily at organizations that work with immigrants and transgender youth. It grants the Education Secretary power to exclude groups from the program if they engage in activities including the trafficking or chemical castration of children, illegal immigration, and supporting terrorist organizations. So if you happen to be an Antifa member or work for an NGO that funds Antifa, good luck. Chemical castration is defined as using hormone therapy or drugs that delay puberty. Gender-affirming care common for transgender children or teens. And it shouldn't be, folks. It should not be. Because gender-affirming care is a misnomer. Yes, liberals, get mad about that. Cry into your palm over this. Because gender-affirming care is a misnomer, as a matter of fact, and I'll explain why. Because if you go to a kid that thinks that they are the opposite sex, and you tell them that they are the opposite sex, that is not affirming their gender. You are affirming a delusion, because gender is a delusion. It is. Once again, It amounts to a major reworking of a program that has canceled loans for more than 1 million Americans and was created by Congress in 2007 to steer more college graduates into lower-paying public sector jobs. The Trump administration has yet to identify specific groups it intends to target, but it estimates fewer than 10 would be barred per year. It's clear who they intend to target. I mean, it just already stated that all over the place. Anybody working with illegal immigrants that are aiding and abetting illegal immigration, or any doctors or any of these groups that advocate for transgender youth, yeah, you're not getting your loan paid off. And good. I'm glad. The government doesn't need to be doing this anyway. Just for anybody. I'm sorry. The program was meant to support Americans who dedicate their careers to public service, not to subsidize organizations that violate the law, whether by harboring illegal immigrants or performing prohibited medical procedures that attempt to transition children away from their biological sex, Education Undersecretary Nicholas Kent said in a statement. The new rules are weaponizing loan forgiveness to make it harder for groups that work on issues like refugee and transgender rights, said Michael Lukens, executive director of the Amica Center for Immigrant Rights. Sorry, that confused me there for a second. Amica Center for... Okay. No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, my dude, and I'll explain why. Because refugees are not criminal aliens, are they? No, as a matter of fact, saying a refugee and criminal alien, that doesn't even sound the same. But they are totally two different things, right? Refugees get legal protected status in this country. Legal protected status. That's fascinating. Oh, and if you're advocating for transgender rights, guess what? You have won. You're done. Your job is over with. Everybody has rights. We've all got the same rights. Once again, folks, this is a question I always pose to the comment section and never ever get an answer. If these transgender people don't have the same rights as I do or you do, then hang on just a second. What rights are they missing? And if they do have the same rights that every other human in America has, then why do they get more rights than everybody else? I can never get an answer to those questions. Lucan said many of the attorneys, social workers, and paralegals who work at his organization on deportation defense and other immigration litigation count on public service loan forgiveness to take jobs that pay significantly less than the private sector. All of a sudden, that's going away, Lucan said. The younger generation, I hope, will be able to wait this out for the next couple of years to see if it gets better. But if it doesn't, we're going to see a lot of people leave the field and go to work for a for-profit space. Yeah, look, I'm sorry. You shouldn't be working for nonprofits anyway. There should not be any nonprofit out there that exists that advocates for illegal immigration. That the government should go in and dismantle all of that. So what this guy is talking about, I have no idea, because if all of their work they do is on the up and up, has nothing to do with illegal immigration, then why is he melting down over this? Once again, it's manufacturing a crisis to point to a boogeyman so they can have somebody that they can say, we're scared of this person, we need to unify. And that sends people down these dark, deep rabbit holes of political violence. That's what happens to this, folks. These people, they get scared because somebody told them the Trump administration isn't going to forgive your student loans. And guess what? They believe it, which is insane to me. It really is. That's all to that. I thought there was another paragraph. I'm sorry, guys. But it really is insane. Donald Trump laid it out quite clear, right? If you are trying to transition a child, which that should be illegal anyway, it should be unthinkable. But these people believe that people like me are evil because I don't want to do that. Hang on, those are diametrically opposed worldviews right there. How can those two coexist with each other? Because I think kids should be left alone. They should be allowed to flourish on their own. Once again, because I've looked at desistance rates. And if you don't know what a desistance rate is, that is the rate by which kids that come out as trans, right, if they are told no and left alone, then they eventually change their minds. They think, oh, well, maybe I should just be who I am. And they move on with their lives. The desistance rates are much higher. They're anywhere from 70 to 90%. If you just leave these kids alone, they will return back to normal. Yeah, I've looked at that. So that tells me that the vast majority of these kids, it's just a popular trend, if you will, to come out as trans. So I think gender-affirming care, what that should be, is basically desistance training, right? We should be telling these people, you're born at your biological sex. That is how you were created. That is what you should identify as. We should instill that into people. Now, once they become adults, if they still believe, yeah, hey, go right ahead. Do what you want to do. You're an adult. And you have all the same rights as everybody else. And any organization that's advocating for illegal immigration, like I said, should be absolutely and utterly dismantled by the Trump administration. But I think that's all I got. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. It's fascinating to me. I don't know why this was a thing anyway. Personally, I don't think the government should be forgiving student loans in the first place. Especially not to people, like, seriously, like, I understand, look, government doesn't pay as much as the private sector, but that doesn't really mean that they can just forgive loans. I mean, we all struggle, right? I'm not asking for anybody to pay off any of my loans, for goodness sakes. It's insane, y'all. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Click the join button. Sign up and become a member. That would be great. And if you guys could just think about it like this. Look, Jesus died for our sins so that we could be forgiven, folks. So we could be forgiven and be able to have the opportunity to spend eternal life in heaven with Him. That is just awesome, if you ask me. It makes being a Christian all the more worth it, right? Y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.